This is a training session regarding the entry and processing of handwritten payroll checks and the voiding of paychecks and timesheets. First, let's look at the payroll menu. Here we can select either the Handchecks or the Voids menu option. Regardless of which we choose, the timesheet entry program is displayed. Our menu choice dictates which tab will be selected by default. Once we are in the timesheet entry program, we can select the Handcheck tab or the Void tab to enter handwritten checks or voids into any highlighted batch. Normally, it's a good idea to place handchecks and voids into batches separate from regular timesheets. In the list box on the right-hand side of the screen, we see any timesheet or handchecks which reside in the selected batch. To insert a handcheck into this batch, we highlight the Handcheck tab and click on the Insert button. The following screen now comes into view. Obviously, if we've already written the check, we have already calculated the taxes and deductions manually. We should have a copy of the handcheck available as we do the data entry. This is a two-part process. First, we enter what we paid on the check, and second, we enter the timesheet entry information. We start by entering the employee number or name. Then we enter the check number. We enter the date of that check and the pay period ending date for the time that was worked. We enter the net pay, the dollar amount for federal, state, and local taxes, the dollar amount we withheld for Social Security, Medicare, and disability. In the box below, we enter any amounts that were deducted from this check, along with the corresponding deduction name and dollar amount. At this point, our system will display the gross pay figure at the bottom of the screen. This is the total of the net pay and all of the deductions. Now we need to enter the timesheet information, which will bring the gross pay up to the same dollar amount we see in the gross pay total. When the two totals are equal, the handcheck entry will be complete. In order to enter timesheet information, we click on Insert, and the system will display this timesheet entry screen. We can then enter the date of the time that was worked and the detail type. The detail type can be a general ledger account, a job with a cost code, or hours on a piece of equipment. We indicate the correct accounts or codes. We indicate how many hours were worked and the dollar amount that was paid. This is not a pay rate. This is the actual gross dollar amount paid for the hours worked on this particular job or account. We can then click on the Change button to change any of the tax accrual codes. Normally, these will not be changed. Once we've entered the hours, we click on the OK button, and we see the hours listed in the Pay Distribution box. The total gross pay is listed at the bottom. Eventually, this total must match the gross pay amount shown on the left-hand side of the screen. We keep inserting timesheet line items until the two totals match. Then we can click on the OK button. If we click on the OK button before they match, the system will give us a warning message and not let us save this entry until they do match. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen a checkbox titled Force Employer Paid FICA Amounts to match entered amounts. When the system calculates the FICA amounts for this handcheck, it will do so according to the total amount you paid to the employee. the amount the system calculates may not match the amounts you entered in the Social Security and Medicare fields. If you would prefer to have the system ignore the calculated amounts and match the employer-paid FICA to the amounts you enter on the left-hand side of the screen, check this box. We may want the program to physically print the paycheck. In other words, we've calculated all the taxes and accruals, but we haven't actually written the check by hand. If this is the case, click on the Print Check button, and the system will generate a check using the check printing format that we've selected for our standard paycheck runs. Click OK when the entry is finished, and the Handcheck is now ready for proof listing and posting. Now let's talk about voids. Using this program, we can void paychecks or posted timesheets that have not yet been paid. Select the Voids tab and click on the Insert button. The system asks whether we wish to void a check or timesheets. Let's first select Posted Check. This screen allows us to enter the name or number of the employee and the check number that was paid to the employee. After we've entered the name or number of the employee, the system will display a list of check numbers paid to that employee. After we select one of these check numbers, the system displays all of the information from the timesheet posting paid on that check. It then asks us to confirm that this is the correct check number. This gives us the opportunity to look at the dollar amounts, dates, and deduction information before we confirm that this is the check we wish to void. If this is the correct check, we can click on the OK button. When the paycheck is voided, the system can also void the associated timesheet or leave the timesheet in a posted but unpaid state. If the timesheet is voided, the system can create a replacement timesheet and place it in the batch so that you can make changes and repost the timesheet. Use these fields to specify whether you want to void the timesheet, and if so, whether you want the system to create a replacement timesheet and which batch to use. Now click OK. This check will be saved in the batch to be voided when we post the batch. Now we'll void some timesheets. Click the Insert button once again and select Void Posted Timesheets. Here is a list of all the timesheets that have been posted but not yet paid. Simply tag the timesheets you want to void. When the tagged timesheets are voided, the system can create replacement timesheets and place them in the batch so that you can make changes and repost the timesheets. Use these fields to specify whether you want the system to create replacement timesheets and which batch to use. Our hand checks and voids are now ready for payroll processing. Remember that it isn't enough to just insert these voids and hand checks into the batch. They must be posted in order to make them permanent. For more information about posting payroll, refer to the training session on timesheet entry and processing. This concludes this training session on entering and processing handwritten checks and voided paychecks and timesheets.